Which is the English tense a native speaker could live without? Present perfect continuous, past perfect, future continuous. Let me know in the comments and I'll tell you the right answer at the end of the video. By the way, my name's Noty from Fun and Dynamic English, so make sure that you follow me and Ewa English too to learn more English. In this video, I'm going to teach you all the English tenses. Present simple. The structure is quite simple. Subject plus base form of the verb, except in the third person singular when we add an S or ES. For example, I work, you play, we sing, they walk. It's easy, right? But with the third person singular, we have to remember to add the S. For example, he works, she talks, it runs. For a few verbs, there is a spelling change before the S. For example, study becomes studies. And then with the verb to be, this has its own for in the simple present. I am. You are. He, she, it is. We are. They are. There are also few verbs which are irregular in the present simple. Have become has. Do becomes does. Go becomes goes. We use the present simple when something is generally or always true. People need food. 2 and 2 make 4. Similarly, we need to use this tense for a situation that we think is more or less permanent. Where do you live?
Where do you live?
Next. The next use is for habits or things that we do regularly. We often use adverbs of frequency. This can be good signal words. For example, always, sometimes, never. Also some expressions like every Sunday, every Monday, every week, every year. For example, I play tennis every Tuesday. I don't travel very often. We can also use the present simple for short actions that are happening now. He takes the ball, he runs down the wing, and he scores. Go! We can also use simple present for future uses. We use the present simple to talk about the future when we are discussing a timetable or a fixed plan. Usually, for example, school begins at 9 tomorrow. But careful in the question, I'm saying, what time does the film start? I'm using start in infinitive because I have the auxiliary verb does and it kind of robs the S. Same happens with the negative. The plane doesn't arrive. We have the S on the verb doesn't, so we don't need to put it here on arrive. I want to share something exciting with you. You know that we have an app called the Ewa English app for English learners. We have come up with a new grammar course and now you can learn all English tenses together with your favorite movies, characters and stars. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to download the Ewa app and get a special discount today.
Next, please. Next.
The present continuous, sometimes called present progressive, we make it with subject plus the present simple of the verb to be plus the verb with ing. For example, positive short form. I am sleeping or I'm sleeping. You are sleeping or you're sleeping. When do we use it? First, we use the present continuous for things that are happening at the moment of speaking, now.
Now?
Now.
Now.
I'm working at the moment. I am making a YouTube video for you. We can also use this tense for other kind of temporary situations, even if the action isn't happening at this moment. For example, John's working in a bar until he finds a job in his field. So he might not be working now, but it's something that's happening now temporarily. We can use the present continuous for temporary or new habits. For example, he's eating a lot these days. Another present continuous use is for habits that are not regular but that happen very often. In this case, we usually use the adverbs like always, forever, constantly, and often we use the present continuous in this way to talk about annoying habits. You are forever losing your keys. Stop losing your keys. The next use is to define future arrangements, but we need a future time word. For example, I am meeting my father tomorrow. It means that this is happening. Careful, because we can't use this tense or any other continuous tense with stative verbs. Stative verbs are verbs like love, want, understand, hate. By the way, these are some signal words that might be helpful to identify this tense, the present continuous. Now, at the moment, look and listen. For example, listen, she's singing.
Wherever you're going.
Time for the present perfect. This is one of the most difficult in my opinion.
This is most difficult.
To make the present perfect positive, we need the subject, have or has, and the past participle or the third column. Make the past participle by adding ed to regular verbs, for example, play, played, but we also have some completely irregular verbs, so you need to study the third column, the third form. We use this tense when we want to talk about unfinished actions or states or habits that started in the past and continue to the present. Usually we use it to say how long, and we need since or for. I've known Karen since 1994. She's lived in London for 3 years. We use since with a fixed time in the past. For example, 2004, April the 23rd, last year.
Known Elena since I was a child.
We use for with a period of time. 2 hours, 3 hours, 3 years, 6 months.
I've known you for years.
We also use the present perfect for finished actions, life experiences. We often use the words ever and never here. For example, I have never lived in Tokyo, or I have been to Tokyo twice. We also use the present perfect with unfinished time words. For example, this month, this week, today. For example, I haven't seen her this month. The month is not over. Another function is a finished action with a result in the present, the focus on the result. For example, I've lost my keys, so I can't get into my house now.
Oh, wait. I have lost my key.
Some of the most useful signal words for this tense are just, yet, never, ever, already, so far, up to now, since, for.
Next. Who's next?
Present perfect continuous. We use this to talk about something that started in the past and continues to the present. The biggest one is the structure. We use the structure subject plus have or has plus been plus the verb with ing. I have been eating chocolate. We use the present perfect continuous to talk about things that we have been doing uninterruptedly or that we haven't finished. We use it to emphasize how long something has been happening for. My mom has been replying to emails for 2 hours already. Some signal words could be all day, the whole day, how long, since, for.
Have you been eating my candy?
The simple past, my favorite tense. We usually make the positive by adding ed to the infinitive. For example, play becomes played. However, there are some irregular verbs. For example, go becomes went and run becomes ran. I, he, she and it was, and we, you, they were. I was cold. You were tired. We were happy. We use did instead of do or does.
He did it, Sean. He did it.
We use it with finished actions, states or habits in the past when we have a finished time word. For example, yesterday, last week, at 2 o'clock, in 2003. I went to the cinema yesterday. We spent a lot of time in Japan in 2015. We also use the simple past to talk about unreal or imaginary things in the present or the future. If I won the lottery, I would buy a house. Past continuous. How can we make the past continuous? For example, they were running. We use it when we're talking about an action in the past which overlaps another action or a time. The action in the past continuous starts before and often continues after the other shorter action or time. For example, I was walking to the station when I met John. At 3 o'clock, I was working. The second function is, in the same way, we can use the past continuous for the background of a story. The birds were singing. The sun was shining. and in the bar, people were laughing and chatting. Third function, temporary habits or habits that happened more often than we expect in the past. He was always leaving the tap running. Fourth function, to emphasize that something lasted for a while. I was working in the garden all day. The past perfect. Just the past simple of have, so had, the past participle, and then the third column, the third form. For example, I had arrived. We use it to talk about finished actions before a second point in the past. So, when we arrived, the film had started. We usually use the past perfect to make it clear which action happened first. I'd eaten dinner, so I wasn't hungry. Second function, it's something that started in the past and continued up to another action or time in the past. When he graduated, he had been in London for 6 years. He arrived in London 6 years before he graduated and lived there until he graduated, or even longer. And some signal words are already, just, and never.
I thought you had done this before.
Past perfect continuous. Here's how to make the past perfect continuous. It's subject plus had plus the verb to be plus ing. But the verb to be has to be conjugated in the third column. I had been living in Spain for 3 years when I decided to move to Italy. We use the past perfect continuous to talk about something that started in the past and continued up to another action or time in the past. The past perfect continuous tells us how long, just like the present perfect continuous, but this time the action continues up to the point in the past rather than the present. She had been working at that company for a year when she met James. So we usually put the past perfect continuous together with the simple past. Second function, something that finished just before another event in the past. The pavement was wet, it had been raining. The rain had finished before the time I'm describing in the past, so we could see the result of the rain. I'm going to take your level of English and grammar to the next level. Future simple will. The simple future tense is very easy to make because it's just the subject, the will, and the verb in infinitive.
I will do this.
We use the future simple with will to predict the future. It is the basic way we talk about the future in English. For example, the sun will rise at 7 a.m. I think the Conservatives will win the next election. Then another function is when you make promises or requests or refusals or offers. I'll help you with your homework. Will you give me a hand? You're making a request. Or no, I won't go. He's making a decision at the moment. Then we use the simple future with will in the first conditional too. For example, if it doesn't rain, we will go to the park. If you study, you will pass the exam. If you follow me, Fun and Dynamic English, and Ewa English, you will learn lots of English. But careful when we want to use the negative word, because we're going to use subject plus won't plus the verb in infinitive. So I won't go or will not. And the question is, will you marry me? Will you marry me? Future continuous. The future continuous tense isn't taught very much in English classes, but in fact English speakers use it a lot.
I'll be here waiting when you get back.
How to make the sentence? Easy. Subject plus will plus the verb to be plus the verb with ing. Use the future continuous to talk about an action in the future that overlaps another shorter action or time. I'll be waiting when you arrive. At 8 o'clock, I'll be eating dinner. Remember, we can't use the future continuous with stative verbs. You can't say, I will be loving you, but I will love you. The same thing with the negative. They won't be traveling. And the question, will she be eating? And now, this is the future perfect.
Again.
The future perfect tense is only used in a few situations, but it's still good to know it. The future perfect is made with the future simple of have, like I will have, and then the past participle. For example, at 4 o'clock, I'll have been in this office for 24 hours.
So long.
So we use the future perfect to say how long for an action that starts before and continues up to another action or time in the future. When we get married, I'll have known Robert for 4 years. Well, here's the positive. By 6 p.m. tonight, I will have finished this book. And the negative, by next week, it won't have stopped raining. And the question is, by next year, will you have finished writing this book?
By God, we will finish it.
And the last tense, this is what I was talking about when I started the video. Which is the English tense a native speaker could live without? The future perfect continuous tense isn't used very much in English, and it's a little complicated to make too. We can use the future perfect continuous like the other perfect continuous tenses to talk about something that finishes just before another time or action. In April, she will have been teaching for 12 years. By the time you arrive, I'll have been cooking for hours. On Tuesday, I will have been working here for 1 year. A much easier number. How to formulate? Easy. Subject plus will plus have been plus the verb with ing. Oh God. Well, I hope you enjoyed this super special video about tenses as much as I did, but I can't believe we have covered 12 tenses in one video. Thanks for being with us, thanks for following us, and now you know all about the tenses, and if you think this could be useful for your friends, make sure you share it with them. And if you like this video, it would really help me if you like it, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to click on the subscribe button over here. Thanks a lot, and I hope you continue to improve your level of English every day. Bye!